Hello, my name is Paul Robinson. I'm a thyroid patient advocate and the author of the Recovering from Hypothyroidism series of books. This is part 3 of my Do Not Take My T3 Away video diary. And I was not going to say any more about this until I get the next instalment on the saga. But I've been thinking a bit about some of the words I've been hearing from various sources, from my doctor, which is almost certainly coming from the CCG, from some of the endocrinologists, and everyone keeps saying liothyronine is a very expensive medication, or T3 is a very expensive medication. And I am really tired of hearing that. Several years ago, prior to Jerome Byrne writing the article for the Times about the price scandal with liothyronine, I was asked to gather some data for him through my group that I had at the time, which had several thousand patients from all over the world who were using liothyronine, using T3, gather some data about the pricing. And the data that Jerome used in his original article in the Times was largely based on data I collected through the patients that were very helpful giving me that data, because they were getting, obviously they were based all over the world, so they were getting T3, liothyronine from different places. And it was very clear at that time that we were in the UK paying about 40 times, that's 40 times what other countries pay for T3, right? So what somebody might pay 25 euros for on the continent, we were paying 800 to 900 pounds here in the UK. That situation persists, okay? So everywhere else in the world, liothyronine is not a very expensive medication. So if I hear from another endocrinologist, from a CCG, from a doctor, from any other source that liothyronine is a very expensive medication, I will probably explode. I've had it up to here with that. It isn't true. Liothyronine is not an expensive medication because all these other companies all over the world, strangely enough, can actually make liothyronine and make a profit out of it, a normal size profit, not the sort of massive profits that the NHS have allowed these companies that sell it to us at this price to make, but a normal profit, and still sell it a modest price. Intrinsically, liothyronine is not an expensive medication, and I'm getting really sick of everyone that's saying it's expensive. Only reason liothyronine is expensive is because the NHS has totally mismanaged their supplier. Okay, that is it. End of. It is not an expensive medication. So with this situation we have in the UK where the CCGs are reviewing thyroid patients now and doctors are having to desubscribe people from T3, is entirely down to the cost issue. If it wasn't the cost issue, there wouldn't be this hunt for thyroid patients on T3, right? It wouldn't be happening. Okay, so this is a very weird situation. I'm going to give you an analogy. I wrote about this a long time ago, but imagine we're not talking about liothyronine. Imagine we have a company that makes cars, Motorcars, okay? And they're making these cars. It's very good. It's all sort of working reasonably well. They might not be the most efficient company, but it's kind of chugging along. And basically, they suddenly see the price going up of the brakes that they're buying from a supplier. And they go up a little bit, and they can't tolerate that, and they tolerate it, and eventually the car gets very expensive to make because the brakes price has gone up by a factor of 40. same factor we're talking about here, or thereabouts, right? 40, 40. And the company have a big meeting. They say, you know, we got this big, well, these brakes are really expensive. Oh God, you know, wow, what are we going to do? They're really expensive. They have two choices, right? They go out and make a bit of effort and they find another supplier that will do it more reasonably at somewhere near the old price that it used to be before it went up by 40. Right? So that's choice one. Choice two, just choice two, they consider actually just maybe we can make the car. You know, we don't need these brakes necessarily. If people drive carefully, they kind of just, you know, might just be careful. Maybe use a handbrake a bit. They might not feel that comfortable anymore, but maybe we'll get away with it. We can just take the brakes out. And so they choose to take the brakes out of the car. The car is now non-functional, okay? Doesn't work the same. It just doesn't feel right anymore. Okay, that's one choice, and that's the choice that car manufacturer could have made. I don't think any car manufacturer in the world would have made that choice. They would have just sacked the original brake manufacturer and said, screw you, I'm going to get these brakes from over here, or this country, or that country, or whatever. Get rid of them. Okay, so that's the analogy. You got there right with me. Why has the NHS not done that? Why haven't they got any other number of sources of liothyronine in? They could have done this. Liothyronine is not an expensive medication. It never has been, it never will be. It's not that complicated to make. It's an NHS cock-up. And this is why this whole thing is happening. This is why there's a price scandal. This is why thyroid patients who really need T3, liothyronine, are no longer getting it. And why people like me are feeling under the gun, because I know my life's going to be utterly worthless and unlivable if I have to go on T4 or levothyroxine or Synthroid again. Okay? So I had to say one more thing about this price thing, because it is wrong. The words are wrong. Nobody should be allowed to say liothyronine is expensive. They should say the NHS has cocked up the price of liothyronine and therefore thyroid patients are having to suffer for it. That's what they should say. So I've got that off my chest, and I will now come back to this when there's some more news on my own situation. But it's just really irritating. Bye for now.